This is NewsBreak26 in Southwest New Brunswick. I'm Vicki Hogarth. Here's what's happening in our part of the world. In his first hours back in office on Monday, U.S. President Donald Trump threatened to impose 25% tariffs on Canadian goods as early as February 1st, unless border security is tightened. Last week, New Brunswick Premier Susan Holt met with Canada's premiers and federal leaders in Ottawa to discuss a united strategy in response to Trump's tariff threat. Speaking to reporters, Holt warned that the proposed tariffs would negatively impact the economies of both Canada and the U.S.
My counterparts in the neighboring states in Maine and New Hampshire and Connecticut and beyond all share the same feelings that we do, that these tariffs are going to hurt their economies. It's going to hurt their people and their workers. It's going to make life more expensive. And that's the same thing Canadians are saying.
Holt said that while Canada could respond with strategic retaliatory tariffs, efforts are focused on preventing tariffs from being imposed in the first place. She also met with key New Brunswick exporters, including Irving, McCain, and Cook Aquaculture, to ensure their concerns are addressed.
We're getting together again for an additional meeting this week. And we hear deep concern from those companies because of how much they sell into the U.S.
New Brunswick Southwest MP John Williamson, speaking with CHCO, stressed the importance of Canada standing firm while also addressing the underlying issues raised by Trump, such as border security and Canada's still unmet NATO defense spending commitments.
I think we have to stand up for ourselves. I think, for example, we do have premiers across the country positioning themselves. I think Susan Holt, our new premier, had the right tone about her blood boiling. I think she spoke on behalf of a lot of New Brunswick families and individuals when we hear the talk coming from Donald Trump. But we should not just be gearing up for a trade war. The United States is 10 times our size. There are things we can do, obviously we must do, to counter the tariffs, but I think we need to get back to basics. And before Donald Trump started talking about the 51st state and all that nonsense, he was talking about specific deliverables he wanted to address. Because at the end of the day, I think we have to remember that at the heart of it, Donald Trump is about making a deal.
CHCO will continue to follow this story as it develops. A major sporting event for the province wrapped up late Saturday night in St. Andrews. For more on this, here is CHCO's Nathalie Sturgeon.
A 3-day curling tournament has wrapped up in St. Andrews with the defending champions Team Adams taking the top spot.
We won it last year, and it's always, to win it 2 years in a row is always tough, and the competition is, really tough, and it proved it in this last game tonight.
The tournament was held at the Heather Curling Club in St. Andrews, which has been operating in the community for 102 years. It is something St. Andrews Mayor Brad Henderson says is good for the shoulder season.
What has become evidently clear is the biggest opportunity for our region is sports tourism. You've got facilities like the WC O'Neill Arena Complex, you've got your neighbors, the Patrick Connors, and especially the Garcelon Civic Center. Those yield so much potential.
Adams' team is made up of Jacelyn Crandall, who is the team's third, Kayla Russell second, Kendra Lister lead, Molly Ward alternate, and Alex Robichaud coach. She says they are eager to return to the Scotties Tournament of Hearts. And even as they head for the national stage, Adam gives a nod to the local one.
We're going out there. We have experience now. We've been there a couple times, and we just want to go and play our little hearts out and hope we can bring our best game. And I have to say, this St. Andrews Curling Club was so great. The ice was amazing. Vernon and his crew did such a great job, and we feel more prepared to because it's very similar ice to what we're going to see at the Scotties.
The Heather Curling Club has spent months preparing for this tournament since it received the invitation in March. And as this one wraps up, it prepares for another. The U20 Junior Championships begins on February 6th. Nathalie Sturgeon, CHCO-TV, St. Andrews.
Thanks, Nathalie. Finally, a powerful new exhibit by New Brunswick artist Manuel has opened at Sunbury Shores Arts and Nature Centre in St. Andrews. Inspired in part by the final moment she shared with her father, Breath explores the profound connection between breath and life.
In his last moments, the palliative care nurse called us in to just be really close to him and breathe in and out with him. And that experience, although it was so painful, I mean, it was exquisitely painful, profound, and I just, from that moment on, wanted to work with breath.
The installation, which spans the length of the gallery on Water Street, was also recently on exhibit at the Beaverbrook Art Gallery in Fredericton. Experiencing it in its current home at Sunbury Shores, however, offers art lovers an entirely new experience of the installation. The piece includes 4,000 elements, seed pods, and dandelions, each representing deeply personal memories, including Manuel's mother's garden.
When she was dying, one of her last wishes was for me to collect the seed pods from her garden.
Manuel says the exhibit, which was years in the making, reflects on how life is measured in breaths.
It's the beginning, the middle, and the end, and your whole life is in those breaths.
Breath is at Sunbury Shores until February 23rd. The exhibit also features a film by Matthew Brown. That's all the news I have for you. For more stories and online exclusives, visit CHCO-TV and the Courier newspaper online at chco.tv.
A news and public affairs production of CHCO-TV, New Brunswick's only source for independent community television.